Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining for this webinar. And October every year is being celebrated as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This is the 18th year, and as a member of the industry, we would like to participate in that by bringing in more and more educational topics for our customers and other business associates. So this session is all about cybersecurity basics. There is nothing in particular about what it is and how to mitigate the cyber risk. This is one of the first steps as risk assessment. So what is risk assessment? That is the question here. And before we get into the webinar, I just want to make sure that you are aware that you can use the chat or Q&A to ask your questions if you have any, and I will be happy to help you with answering them during the event or after the event. My goal is to make sure that this is a 10 to 15 minutes webinar, and I will be at the end of the event, I will announce the winner of the $25 Amazon gift card for this particular webinar. Every week there is going to be, we are selecting one particular winner every week. So we are getting into this, and the first and foremost about cybersecurity is risk assessment. So what it is exactly? So as you are aware, if you are watching the news, if you are following any of these news, the things are getting changed. It is cyber attacks are way up from the past few years, and it is going to go in that way in the future as well. But if you are required by law to follow certain compliance steps, you may want to have this risk assessment as your first step. Whether you are a HIPAA, which is for healthcare providers, or if you are going for Department of Defense contracting, they require you to follow their own criteria. So any of them, this is the first step, risk assessment. So on a day, how many cyber attacks will hit your business today? So this is a question which you may want to ask yourself. These are the questions which I am trying to help you to formulate this. You ask yourself and find out the answers. How susceptible is your team in enabling and furthering cyber attacks? So this is, cyber security is not a one person job. It is the whole company, whole business, which need to be doing. If there is an attack, in the event that there is an attack, how are you going to respond to that? So what do you know about protecting your business? Ask yourself, how are you going to protect yourself? Do you know the difference between a breach and a compromise? A compromise leads to breach, and that's the short answer. How concerned are you of getting hacked? What do you think is the biggest cybersecurity threat to your business? It could be anything. It may be employees, it may be the software which you are running, it could be the cloud email which you are running, or the on-premise email you are running, any of these. If you lost money from your business bank account, what would you do? What would that do to your business? If a hacker got into your network, stole all your data, and sold it in the dark web, how much would that impact you as a business owner? If you had to pay, how much you are willing to pay to get all your data back? But I know you are thinking, I'm a small business and they will never come after me, right? So wrong. There was a 424% increase in small business cyber attacks in 2020. 2021 is even higher. They were doing nothing wrong, but they were just caught in the line of fire without protections. So average cost of data breach in 2021 is 4.24 million. That is statistics which came out of IBM data breach report last week. 94% of malware is delivered by email. So email is considered to be the biggest source of malware. If you have 10 employees and an average of 90 email-bound malware threats you are getting per month. This is assuming that you are getting 10 emails per employee per day. 77% of successful attacks or exploits are fileless technique. They are not sending you any files, but they are using some other means. It could be a web link, it could be social media, something like that. Imagine this, just figuring out if you lost a file, how you lost it, and what's the impact. It is going to cost $15,000 or more. 81% of small business reports that the new types of attacks have evaded their traditional antivirus which they use. 90% of businesses pay a ransom, but they will get attacked for a second time again. Industry experts state SMB's cybersecurity budget should be 3 to 5% of your total budget. That is what you need to plan for. So in summary, this is what it looks like. And we covered all these different boxes, and 26% of businesses, the last one is very important. 26% of businesses that suffer an attack did not do anything to prevent another attack. So do you think that these attacks don't really happen? So think again. This was there in the news recently. If you are a shopper, you're going to the market, you might have observed that the price of meat has gone up. Do you know the reason? This is one of the reasons. Meatpacking giant JBS paid $11 million for the hackers. And who are going to pay for that, compensate them for that? Us. So that's what is happening. Baltimore County Public Schools, they are still recovering. For the last 1 year, it's going up. The cost is going up. They have not got the data back yet. This is a news which came out late last week. A hospital which got cyber hacked or ransomware attacked, and a baby's death is blamed on that. So this is a short video. I'm going to play this for 30 seconds, and you want to hear what Reid Hoffman says about cyber attack.
Yeah, so this is a question about cybersecurity. How are you advising the companies you're investing in to protect themselves? And also, is there an opportunity for you as an investor to create solutions there?
So one of the cybersecurity is one of the evergreen investments in venture capital. Greylock, my firm, has a number of people who have made things like Palo Alto Networks, which was incubated at Greylock, and a number of things. And so cybersecurity is super important. Essentially, however terrified you are about cybersecurity, you're probably not terrified enough.
That's what I wanted you to hear.
Right. The fact,
however terrified are you, that's not enough.
The fact that all of this infrastructure is there.
So how do you respond to cyber threats? So it is the hacker's job to steal your information, and that's what they are paid for. That is how they get paid. And cybersecurity landscape has changed dramatically over the last 1 year. The reason being, people are working from home, and their cyber guard is lower than what they would have normally done from an office environment. So the question is, how do you manage your risk? How do you discover your security weaknesses? That's the gist of this webinar. How do you discover your security weakness? And where do you start? So bottom line is, you have to manage your risk. There is no doubt about that. Nobody else is going to manage for you. But where do we start? You need to understand what exactly is the risk, or what exactly is the value of the data. So risk assessment is basically doing that. Investigate your current security position. So what is your current security safeguards in place? What exactly you are going to do about that? Determine how susceptible your business is to an attack. If an attack happens, what is the valuable data which you are storing, which is capable of doing losing that. Examine how likely your employees and staff is enabling or furthering this attack. Are you training your employees enough not to click on the email attachment which is coming, or are you training them to be suspicious? Don't trust anything which comes to them. So these are the questions which is part of the cyber risk assessment. It is like identifying, I mean, there are multiple phases. Identify physical and procedural weakness. There should be a process, what you are going to do if you get hacked, and all these things employees need to understand, and that is what you are doing here. Identify the most likely at-risk business assets. It is your asset, which is the data which you are going to take care by this. As an example, what is your risk number? If you are an organization which has the customers' personally identifiable information, employees' personally identifiable information, or if you are keeping intellectual property, they are all assigned different values. This is again from IBM's data breach report. And the customer personally identifiable information is the average cost of keeping that is close to $200. So if you have 100 customers personally identifiable information, you can imagine how much it is going to cost. So what is the process? It is, as I said, it's not a single person's job. It is the team effort. So it has to come from the top. There are certain roles for the executive leadership. The team has a role. Then you have to follow the physical inspections and review, and systems, what type of data you are storing, how you are going to store it, how you are going to safeguard it, and what is the application and data in that, and you need to review that. And finally, how does the employees behave? Are they susceptible to a phishing attack? When they are getting an email, are they clicking on the link and opening it? So these are the things which you probably need to evaluate as a risk assessment process. I have put together another slide as a flow chart. It goes from the top. It is like in an insurance company, when you are insuring your home, they normally ask you to go grab every photo or a video of all your assets. It's exactly like that. You have a record of what your valuables are. That's the process. So you need to have executive sponsors, meet with them, talk about this. They need to have a buy-in in this, and a security process overview. What is your process and procedures? Environmental inspections. What is your physical safeguard? Are you having a restricted access to the building? Are your servers in a secured location? All these things which you need to gather. And what type of data you are keeping? Are you keeping any sort of intellectual properties? Different businesses have different methods. And are you having any sort of intellectual properties? How susceptible are the systems? You check your systems for the data. And if there are any data or any email passwords compromised are available in the dark web, that need to be tested, and your team behaviors. So as I said, phishing, employee training, all these things need to be tested. So bottom line is know your risk. So I have one question which has come in. Can I do the assessment myself? Yes, of course, you can do it yourself. All you need to do is you need to follow certain procedures. What exactly you are doing, what type of data you are having, all these things, what you need to understand. It is again something which you can do yourself, no doubt about that. I am a non-profit organization, and are we a target of cyber hack? Unfortunately, whether you're a for-profit or non-profit, every business is susceptible to certain risks. So you need to understand your risk number, as I said, and that's where you need to work on. It doesn't matter what type of company you are, whether it is a non-profit or for-profit. The reason being, many of the non-profits have a lot of valuable data, and they are susceptible as just like any other business. So have a risk assessment for you. We are using Macs. I'm assuming Apple Macs. Are we susceptible to attacks? Unfortunately, it's a common misconception that Macs are not susceptible to cyber attacks. It's not true. There are many cases where the Macs were attacked and they were put for ransom. So that is very much can be compromised. So if there are any other questions, feel free to type it in. If not, I don't have anything else. And thank you very much. And I have today's winner as Debbie Saito. I will be sending you a gift card of $25 to you. Thank you for watching.